Hi, I'm Jessie. I'm a cannabis nurse and founder of MarijuanaMommy.com. You're watching Patients Are the Proof, where we discuss the real health benefits of cannabis. Today, we're discussing migraines with HelloMD's co-founder, Pamela Hadfield. Hey, Pamela. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing really well, Jessie. Thanks so much for having me today.
Thank you so much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it. So what we're trying to do is really give people an idea of what life is like as a medical marijuana patient. And I'd love to just kind of take people through your journey. I know you are a fellow cannabis patient for migraines, right?
Absolutely.
So
Every day.
Yeah, me too. It's amazing. I'd love to kind of start like back before cannabis and talk a little bit about what migraines are and like your experience pre-cannabis, and then, you know, talk a little bit about your decision to start medical marijuana.
Absolutely. Oh, so do you want me to just start?
Start, yeah. Where did it all begin?
So when I was about 14, I was a competitive athlete, and I was swimming one day, and I got out of the pool, and I was struck by the most intense migraine. And it ended up lasting for about 2 or 3 days. It was the kind of migraine where you see an aura. I got sick to my stomach. I actually couldn't move. And that was the beginning of my migraines. They ended up lasting for the next 25 years of migraines. And fortunately, they would cycle in and out. I wasn't afflicted every day. It would happen about twice a month. But the intensity would vary. The first migraine was probably one of the worst migraines I would experience. And if they ever reached that intensity, they would never go past that. But very painful. And so over the years, I saw pretty much every different kind of doctor possible. And they never really had a solution for me. They would give me pharmaceuticals, which would knock me out, but didn't really deal with the pain, and they certainly didn't prevent the migraines. And I think anyone who's had migraines and gone on migraine medication has the same thing to say. They'll take them, but it's not necessarily all that effective. So I learned how to deal with the migraines. I tried to, have a good diet, exercise, all of that type of stuff. But as I ended up into my later 30s, they started to get more and more intense again, kind of like where it was in the beginning. And at that point, I had a lot of anxiety. I had 3 kids under the age of 4. And then
stress often contributes to migraines, of course. So it makes sense with that, all you had going on.
I think my migraines were really hormonal in nature, and so when you add 3 kids into that mix,
pregnancies and
so my body was in a tailspin. I ended up having fibromyalgia, and so at around that point, I settled on Vicodin as the one medication that would allow me to just get through the day, because I was also working on top of this. But as you know, Vicodin is an opiate and very addictive. I would take it for 2 or 3 days, and then I would fortunately be able to go off. So I never got addicted, but I was highly dependent. I never left the house without Vicodin in my hand. So this went on for some years, but I was taking more and more. And so I was getting really scared. And at that point too, they had changed the regulations around Vicodin, so it was also harder to get. So I just knew I needed to make a change. And so at that point, somebody said to me, well, why don't you try medical marijuana? And I rolled my eyes. It was something I had tried throughout the years. At parties, everyone has a joint. But it had always made me anxious and paranoid. But as I say to so many people, it was my medication of last resort. And it should have been my medication of first resort, because I ended up trying something that was high in CBD. I was fortunate to live here in the state of California, where we had been medically legal for about 20 years. And I ended up at a high-end dispensary, and I say it that way because the bud tenders, the people who educate you, were extremely knowledgeable. They had a wide variety of products. When I came in and I said I didn't want to get high, they didn't laugh at me. They said, we understand where you're coming from. And so they sent me off with a high CBD tincture, low THC, and CBD is cannabidiol, which is non-psychoactive, and THC is obviously the psychoactive portion. And within 3 months, I was managing my pain. And within 6 months, I was preventing my migraines altogether. And I can say that I haven't had a migraine in 5 or 6 years now.
Wow, that's amazing. What an incredible, incredible story. Wow, what remarkable results. 5 to 6 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is. I have, since that moment of starting, it was within that first 3 months, I seamlessly left that Vicodin bottle at home. And I kind of went into a panic because I realized I didn't have it with me. That's how dramatic the change was, that I was able to kind of let that go without even consciously realizing it. So, but cannabis for me, unlike a lot of people, as you know, it really was the silver bullet. Like it was a remarkable transformation in my life. So to me, it just gives hope that other people can get off of opioids, because I know that was a key thing for me. And that other people can really, at least, if they don't eliminate migraines, they can minimize the pain.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, there's even some remarkable research out there about migraines with cannabis. And I think a 2016 study found something like it tended to reduce the incidences. I think it was like 85%. It was like ridiculously high number of people experienced a reduction in the symptoms of the migraine. But a remarkable amount of people experienced a dramatic, more than 50% reduction in the incidences of migraines. Because, I don't know if everybody knows that at home, but migraines are kind of something that tends to affect you. It's kind of like exacerbation. So you'll have a migraine and then it'll go away, and then you'll get a migraine and it'll go away. You're fully functional at sometimes and fine, and then all of a sudden it's completely disabling and will wipe people out. So it's really remarkable.
And there's a trickle-on effect too with any sort of chronic pain or something that affects you so deeply. It tends to cause anxiety, and your body tenses up, and it causes these secondary issues. And so I always like to say, if cannabis isn't going to help you with the primary, it's probably going to help you with the secondary. Definitely. And so for me, I have no idea why I had fibromyalgia. I mean, it knocked that out, the anxiety. It really helped me deal with having multiple children, day in and day out, as you probably can relate to.
Totally.
I think I'm a nicer person. And the great thing about it is that I'm not high. It's like, it's not like I'm mentally altered in any way. So that's been the great part about it, is that I've been able to deal with all of this stuff and I haven't had any negative side effects.
It's amazing. And you are doing a lot, and you're very successful with HelloMD. I'm such a fan of what you're doing there, not only of your content, but just what you've created, because you've managed to connect so many people to this plant and really, really impact a lot.
Yeah, well, I'm really passionate, as I think you are as well, about educating people about how we can use this in a responsible way to deal with not only medical issues, but just general health and wellness. And I think health and wellness is such a wide net. That doesn't mean just because you don't feel well all the time, that if you use cannabis, it's not for health and wellness. I think if you use it to relax, to feel better, to feel joy, to sleep a little bit better at night, to deal with anxiety. And so I think that there's so many different ways to use it where you can just have a better quality of life.
I 100% agree with you. I think that's like such a misconception. People think you start using cannabis and you're suddenly getting, your life's going to decrease. And like you, my life has dramatically improved since becoming a patient. And it's a similar story. Oh, thank you. It's so similar to yours. Like I can so relate, because it's the same thing. I was dependent on opiates and Valium around the clock, and then I was so resistant to trying it. Even though I'm a nurse, I know about chronic pain. I mean, I was a pain specialist as a hospice nurse. So it's so many more people need to be educated about it. It's amazing what's happening.
Well, I find it exciting when nurses and doctors cross over that line and are willing to talk to people about it, because so many times when I talk to doctors about it, they still talk about I have my reputation, or, it will put my license in jeopardy. And I think, isn't it putting your reputation and license in jeopardy when you have opioid addicts? you know? And so that's where I think we need to make a cultural shift. And that's everybody. We need to make a shift in the way that we think about the world, where we don't want people addicted to substances that are basically killing them. Whereas when you have something more natural, whether it's cannabis or something else, even if it's something that's unknown and seems scary, that we need to open our minds to that and believe there's different possibilities.
I completely agree. So how's your fibromyalgia been? Has that been impacted by cannabis?
So when I had fibromyalgia, as people who've had it, and you go to the doctor and it's pain of unknown origin. Yeah. I was having extreme pain throughout my legs. Of course, being who I am, I'm sort of the Woody Allen type, like, oh my God, I'm dying of cancer. But it was so weird. It was just the weirdest pain throughout my legs, and sometimes other joints. As soon as I started to take cannabis, it started to ease, that pain was easing away, and then it just disappeared, and I've never felt it again. So my assumption is that I just had a lot of body inflammation in addition to whatever was causing my migraines.
Which is often suggested that inflammation plays a huge role in migraine. So, and cannabis is a remarkable anti-inflammatory. But another really interesting thing is in the 1990s, I believe is when they started re-exploring cannabis as a treatment and looking at things like migraines and fibromyalgia and irritable bowel syndrome. And they found that they kind of think they're all related to an endocannabinoid deficiency or some sort of alteration, which makes sense of why cannabis helps all of the issues.
Yeah, and I think that makes perfect sense. I talked to a pharmacist in New York who has treated thousands of patients with cannabis, and I was saying to her, the interesting thing about CBD that I've noticed is it took that 6 months to be preventative for me. And she said something that always stuck with me, which was, it took your endocannabinoid system a really long time to get out of balance. So you have to be patient for it to get back into balance. And so when I think about CBD in particular, I always like to think about it as this isn't just a one-time fix. This is taking it over a sustained period of time and really thinking and journaling about what's happening to your body and reflecting, because so often people just want that immediate fix. And I think
and I think I 100% agree with you. And I think, CBD can have an immediate fix for some things like anxiety, and, it does instantly reduce inflammation, which can help with some pain and muscle issues. But I know people for pain issues tend to just reach for THC and the higher THC strains because it is that immediate, remarkable relaxation. And then they're like, oh, well, CBD doesn't work so well for me. But I think you're exactly right. It's something you have to take consistently and regularly throughout the day, or throughout the month before you start really seeing those long-term effects. But it's great to be used like in conjunction for medical marijuana patients. I tell people all the time, like, get a high quality CBD oil and take that like with your regular medical marijuana, because it really, really can have a significant impact. But you're doing some amazing things with CBD, and that's like, I'm so excited about what you're doing, because people have such a challenge locating high quality CBD products, and there's so many out there, and it's like, you want to try all these different things, but what's good? So I'd love if you could just tell us a little bit about where you're headed with that.
Sure. So HelloMD started as a community of health and wellness cannabis consumers, and we connected patients to doctors, and we have a lot of education on our site. And then in the Bay Area and San Francisco area, we launched THC delivery through our e-commerce shopping experience. Well, I was saying to you yesterday that what we found is that there's actually such restricted access to cannabis marijuana, even in California post-regulation now, just the way that the laws are working and how the laws are being rolled out nationwide. Even though some people have access to cannabis marijuana, so many people don't, millions of people don't. And so we decided at HelloMD that we wanted to open up a nationwide hemp-derived CBD store so that everyone everywhere could have access to CBD. I think that the problem with hemp-derived CBD right now is that there's really a lack of education in the market of what the safety is around a product, what the efficacy is. Where does your medicine come from? And even if it's not medicine, even if it's a facial cream, you really need to know where your hemp is coming from, because the hemp CBD, if it's sourced from places that don't follow good practices, it can be absolutely riddled with pesticides.
It can actually cause people to get sick.
Hemp is actually it's a bioaccumulator, so it's going to suck up anything that's nasty in the soil, or anything that is put on it. So it's incredibly concentrated. So at HelloMD, we're setting out to have a highly curated menu that can guarantee the safety of the product. And when I say guarantee, we check the source and where it comes from. We check lab testing, which is not the norm in the industry. So we want to make sure that if you're going to take hemp-derived CBD, whether that's a capsule, a tincture, a topical, health and beauty, that you can be assured that at least someone has gone through those basic steps and has tried those products and can say, you know what, we feel good about this brand, we feel good about this product, and this, even though it may cost a little bit more, because so much of what's on the market today, if you go on Amazon or eBay, you might find a CBD product for $5. And I will tell you, a $5 CBD product is not coming. You do not want it. Price in this instance, I will tell everyone who's listening, price does indicate in some way. If it's really, really cheap, I would suggest that you not buy it.
I 100% agree with you. I think people don't realize this is a very expensive product right now. It's very limited to grow. It's, there's limited access. High quality CBD is expensive, and you get what you pay for. Absolutely, with this.
A little bit more. Yeah. So, be very aware of that, because when you do look on Amazon and eBay, you will see many, many CBD products. And oil extraction, whether it's from cannabis, marijuana, or cannabis derived from hemp, the CBD that we're talking about, it's an expensive process. And to take that extracted oil and put it into products of high quality does cost more. So anyway, so we are rolling out our hemp-derived CBD shopping experience next week. So I'm super excited. That's where are we? We're at the end of August, August 2018. And so anyone from anywhere will have the ability to buy from our curated menu, and we will be shipping internationally as well.
Very cool. That's awesome. That's amazing, shipping internationally. That's huge.
Yeah.
Very cool. Oh, I love that. So people will be able to just go to HelloMD.com and find it. Is that where it'll be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Awesome. And then I'll link, once it's live, I'll link in the comments below.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what's happening.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I think that's it. I think we've covered everything. I'd love to know if do you have any advice for anybody who's on the fence, or, about trying cannabis as a health treatment?
I think I probably have advice that's similar to you, which is just go low and go slow. Yeah. Start with the bare minimum and work your way up, whether that's CBD or THC. If you're trying THC and it's an edible, start at 1 or 2 milligrams, wait a few hours, right? And then maybe take another 2 milligrams. If you're smoking, take half a puff of a vape pen, or if it's a joint or a pipe. So I always say, just start with the minimum dosage and work your way up. CBD, I think, is a little bit, you're not going to have that disastrous sort of getting too high.
Right.
But same advice there. So just dip your big toe in and see how it goes.
And starting with CBD is a great option for people who are really, really scared about the plant. Because there's no of that psychoactive euphoric effect. So
exactly.
It does affect you psychoactively, but not that euphoria. You don't get that high feeling from it. So well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jessie. It was a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it was such a pleasure chatting with you. I really, really appreciate it.
Great. Well, have a good day.
You too. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.